right, you guys, it's episode 61 of Inner Demons. And like always, I'm going to get straight to it. So check it out, you guys, real quick. Nah, ain't no real quick. No fluff, no BS. We're going to get straight to it. I'm going to announce that later. So at the end of episode 60, I think the last thing that I talked about was that they brought us all to Campbell. And, I was the first one there. Vicky came next. Roger Carranza came. John Santa Ana at some point, he was there, or he was the first one there. I don't know. Like I told you guys, I didn't see him come in. Anyway, so after they finished eliciting the statements from all of us, one by one, they would start transporting us to the main jail. Now, I'm going to tell you guys exactly, well, I told you guys pretty much word for word what, I told Philo in my statement. I knew I would get the other statements from the other guys later, and that these would be the first police reports that would be generated in the case. Now, at that point, nobody was tied together. I got charged myself. I would get charged, and I'm going to talk about that a couple of days later in my arraignment. I got a criminal complaint, and it was just my charges, and it consisted of participating in the criminal street gang, possession of deadly weapons, possession of heroin for sale, possession of methamphetamine for sale, possession of marijuana for sale, and conspiracy. Those were the charges that I had up until that point right there when we first got arrested. John Santa Ana was on his own. Roger Carranza was charged separate on his own. So, like I told you guys, Roger Carranza, the tattoo artist, led me to believe that he didn't say nothing. He came out, he gave me he zipped his lips and basically told me I didn't say nothing, don't trip. And like I told you guys, it felt good to know that I was around stand-up people that had my back. I felt like even though everybody made their own decision, everybody made their own choices out there, these are grown men. I still felt like everybody was there in some type of way because of me. And I wanted to try to lessen the load off of everybody, straight up. If I can find some of these initial police reports, and I believe I have most of them, I'm going to actually post some of them and just let you guys see them. Because in the beginning, I was like, you know what? I'm going to try to get Roger off. I'm going to try to take the case off of him. They found some dope in the trunk of his car. I was like, you know what? I'm going to tell him that I borrowed the car and that it was my dope. John Santa Ana, I had told him, everything that he found at his house, I might as well just, say that I was safekeeping it over there, that you didn't know what it was, but I was safekeeping it over there. So I was trying to, my mindset was like, you know what? I already buried myself. I buried myself at my pad when I said everything was mine. When Vicky was there and I had took responsibility for everything, I was already sunk. So if I could take cases off of other people, why not? That's where my mind was at right there when we got arrested. That's where my mind was at right there in Campbell when all this was going on. So anyways, I don't know why, but I never had any kind of reason to question John Santa Ana as far as him making statements or implicating anybody. I don't know. Maybe it's just, everybody's different, and that's how, that's how I perceived him, or that's how, that's just the way that he came across. I didn't worry about him implicating anybody. John Santa Ana was a family man. He was away from that stuff he's away from, obviously, from functioning in a regiment and out there in the streets doing the kind of things that we were doing. But John was still connected to a lot of people. He had family that used to come by, and he was doing his thing on the DL to pay his bills, to survive out there. So he was out there in the streets, and he was streetwise. He'd been around for years. So I just didn't have no reason to question whether or not he was going to make a statement or not to hurt me. And at that point, I really didn't care, honestly. Like I told you guys, I was willing to take cases off of people at that point. Now, I was willing to do it my way, though, not somebody just dumping on me and not telling me. But we'll get to that later. So anyways, I think I talked about it. I think I talked about the things that I said when I went in there with Philo. And like I told you guys, Philo is a big Samoan dude. He came across as, kind of being aggressive and just being kind of pushy. And like I said, I was having a bad day. I wasn't in the mood for that shit. You know what I mean? And I told him, check this out, man. If you're gonna play that role right there, have somebody else talk to me, because I'm not gonna deal with you right now, man. You know what I mean? That shit right there, you're not scaring nobody, and you need to kick back with all that, man. You know what I'm saying? You need to tone it down. You know what? I can't explain how he was acting other than just being pushy, being aggressive, and he was just being matter of fact. I don't know. He just had an arrogant attitude that I just wasn't feeling. So, at some point, he toned it down. He toned it down. He was like, look, man, I'm just trying to do my job, man. And I'm like, it's all good, man. I'm telling you, I even told him, dude, I'm having a bad day right now. So, I want to just get this done so I can get to the county jail and be done with it, man. And so he took my statement right there. And basically all it was that everything they found at 3830 Beecher Court was mine. Everything illegal, the drugs, the weapons, everything. Vicky didn't know nothing. So that's all it was. And like I said, these were the first police reports that would get generated, and everybody got a copy of them when they came out. Everybody seen the statements that I made, that John Santa Ana made. John didn't say nothing. Roger, we would see those statements later. Well, I might as well just tell you guys about it right now, because it really doesn't matter. So I'm kind of jumping the gun a little bit. I didn't know what Roger had said. Besides, I took his word for it. I took it for what it was worth. He told me he didn't say nothing. Like I said, he gave me he zipped his lips, and he told me that basically he shut it down, even though he was in there for about 20 or 30 minutes. But what really happened was, they rolled up on Roger at his house. Well, no. They rolled up on him at San Jose Medical. He worked at the hospital. I want to say he worked janitorial or something like that. So they rolled up on him at the hospital, and a conversation took place right there at the hospital. I don't remember what, but they went in and they arrested him in front of his fellow employees, and it was a bad look, and he kind of got upset about that. But they took him from the hospital. They drove him back to his house. Now, when they get to his house, I don't know if the garage door was open. I don't know how it happened, but according to the police reports, they sat him down in a chair in his garage. Like, the door was open. He was out there. They obviously raided the house. They searched the house. And they had a conversation with Roger, and they basically told Roger, you're in a lot of trouble. You're connected to John Boxer Mendoza, and he's a bad dude. They said a lot of, I'm sure they didn't put it in those words, but, he's been under investigation. He's going to end up going to prison for life. We know he's an NF member. He's active out here in the county of Santa Clara, and he's responsible for a lot of shit. And you're going to go down with him unless you save yourself. So at that point, Roger broke down. He started to cry. I can understand, man. I can understand. You have a family. Your kids are there, and this is coming down on you. And his emotions got the best of him, and he started crying. And I at some point, him and his wife had a conversation right there openly in front of everybody. He said something to the effect of, I'll try to find the reports. I don't want to get in the habit of posting police reports on YouTube because of all the other stuff that has happened in the course of these last couple of months. So I don't know. Well, I'll think about that, because that's not what I'm doing. Everybody knows what Roger did, but the thing is so they had a conversation, and it was something like this. He told his lady, babe, if you're gonna leave me and you're gonna take the kids, there's no sense in me cooperating. However, if you're gonna stick with me, and you're gonna fight with me through this, I'll talk to him. And his lady, she told him, look, I'm not going nowhere. Me and the kids, we're not going nowhere. And at that point, he looked at the whatever officers were there, and he told them, I'll talk to you guys. And he gave a full statement. Roger is the one that was actually responsible for leading them to the limousine business. At that point, they didn't know. I don't know how they did not know about it, because they had us under surveillance. They even had me under surveillance driving the limousine at one point. Police reports came out. It's kind of funny. Livingston, the main officer that was spearheading these cases, in one of his police reports, he said something to the effect of, he seen me driving a limousine with a white limousine shirt on. That just didn't happen. I wasn't wearing no white limousine shirt. I had on a white t-shirt. I don't even know what a white limousine shirt is. But anyways, so they knew that, at least they knew I was driving a limousine. Maybe they didn't know I had a business. Maybe they didn't know I was connected to it. I don't know. But he led them to the business. When he gave a statement right there at his house, and basically he gave him a quick overview of everything that he knew, they went to the limousine business and conducted a search on the business. They got another search warrant. So they got a separate police report for, things like my phone, my computer, iPods, things like that, which makes me kind of wonder, like, did they already kind of look through that stuff? Something made them suspicious. My belief is, I don't know, maybe somebody turned on my computer. The disc that I was looking at, the 1,956 pages of court sealed documents, was actually in my hard drive. I think that maybe they seen a lot of the Post-it notes there, maybe, or somebody turned on the computer and then seen the contents of what was on the computer, and then that's when they applied to get another search warrant for digital access. Computers, phones, iPods, iPads, all that good stuff. So that's how they found the 1,956 pages of court sealed documents, the disc and all that. That would come later. So that's basically what happened with Roger. He made a statement. Nobody knew at that point. Matter of fact, they didn't even put him in protective custody when they first housed him in the county jail. They put him somewhere in Orange, on one of the tiers, I think in the old jail. I'm not sure. I'm not 100% positive. I want to say it was somewhere in the old jail, but he was on the main line. He was in double orange. He was dressed out in orange. So it didn't come out until about 2 or 3 weeks after we were all there that he had made a statement, because classification, they're the first ones to find out about that kind of stuff over there in San Jose County Jail. They're on it. Their classification committee over there, or the classification officers, they're real involved with the outside police agencies, especially gang cases. They want to know who's doing what, who's making statements, so that they can get a handle on it. And if there's somebody that's talking, or somebody that's got something that they need to worry about, they'll get involved with the agency, actually look at the report and make a determination. This dude needs to get taken off of the main line and put in protective custody, because this police report is going to get disseminated. That's what they do. They're real involved over there, like no other county jail I've ever been to, not even Monterey. Even though I've only passed through Monterey, I didn't really get a good I didn't get to stay there long enough to really see how they, they do it over there. But out of all the other county jails I've been to, they're real involved with all the gang cases. So anyways, after we're there for 2 weeks, and I know I'm jumping ahead and I'm kind of getting all over the place, but after we're there for 2 weeks, that's when they snatch him up. They put him in Brown. And, even though the police reports didn't come out like right away, it was, everybody put two and two together like, oh boy, must have made a statement. Either that or he's going to make a statement. Because we were all still separated at that point. We were all still, we were all charged individually. I went to my arraignment by myself. John Santa Ana went by himself. Roger Carranza went by himself. The other person that they ended up snatching up in those raids was Bling Bling, the little baller that introduced me to Julio. They got him, and a lot of the other houses that they searched were houses that were associated to some of these guys, these same guys. Like Pony, I want to say that they hit 3 houses that were associated with him. That's why I said, on the day, the first wave of raids, it was like anywhere from 9 to 12 houses, something like that. There were just houses that were associated with him. They hit one house, he wasn't there. They hit another house to see if they can catch him over there. He wasn't there. They hit a relative's house, he wasn't there. And that's how they were doing it. So anyways, after they take me to San Jose Medical and I see a doctor, from that point on, they drive me to the county jail. And again, en route to the jail, these cops are still trying to proposition me. Look, man, you're in a lot of trouble. You're 30-something years, 34 years old. They're going to make an example out of you. We got you dead bang. There's nothing you can say or do to get out of this situation but to help yourself. Loyalty only goes so far. There's other people that are telling on you. You might as well go ahead and catch that bus. And I was like, I'm not talking about nobody else, man. I got no interest in talking about nobody else. I don't want to live no life in no other state, change my name, none of that stuff. So they were like, all right. One of them even tried to actually give me his card and told me to call if I changed my mind. But I had no intention on doing that. You guys will find this out as you listen to the story and you hear. I got nothing to hide. I'm telling you guys everything that happened, detail by detail by detail. And again, there's people that I have co-defendants. There's people that are familiar with the case. I'm sure there's people that are watching that can tap in. So I'm telling you guys, I'd be a fool to sit here and lie about that stuff. Anyways, they propositioned me. Everybody knew it. I told people, I told my co-defendants, I let everybody know that they propositioned me, just like they propositioned other people that when they got arrested, they were propositioning everybody. Everybody that got arrested, they came at them. Hey, you want to help yourself? This is your opportunity to do it. If you don't do it, the door is going to close. So whoever cooperated from that point on, or whoever did it from the gate, those are the ones that got action. Now, there was a lot of people that did do it from the gate. I'm not going to talk about that right now unless it's part of the story, unless it's relevant. That's not my purpose. It's not my objective to, throw people out there on blast. People not here to tell their story. But if it's relevant, I'm going to talk about it. So anyways, so we finally get to the Santa Clara County Jail. We finally get there and, we walk in. I got on belly chains, shackles, and I can't describe how I felt other than to tell you guys that I felt like a dirty trophy. That's how I felt walking into the jail, because I was flocked by 3 guys from the Department of Justice and a highway patrol officer. There's no reason why they needed to be there. They got me to the jail. There was other, there's jail personnel there. There's COs, there's people in intake that could have processed me. They could have threw me in a tank, but these guys literally stood there, posted up the entire time I went through processing, while I got my fingerprints taken, while I got my picture taken. You know, I know other people are looking at me like, who the fuck is this dude? You are surrounded by all these cops. I'm not talking to nobody. I'm not tripping out for none of that. My mind is, you know, it's on everything that's happening. I'm thinking about the reality of the situation it's starting to sink in. You know, it was a surreal feeling that I started to feel. You know, like I described in my book, you know, hearing those intake phones ringing, seeing, you know, the pandemonium of officers escorting people, nurses, medical staff, people throwing up on the floor, winos, drunks, homeboys, you know, other people getting arrested. Just watching all this activity in intake, it made me sick, because when I had paroled, the last time I paroled, I swore up and down I would never come back to this world again, being locked up. I was done with it. When I discharged in 2003, for the first time being off parole as an adult, they took all my younger years. I gave them my 20s, my 30s. I was done. I told myself, I'm done. I'm not coming back no more. You know, I'm not giving these people no more years of my life. I have my 40s, my 50s, 60s, maybe 70s. I don't know if I want to be around that long. Depends on how good a shape I'm in. But, you know, on the real, I gave all my younger years to these guys, and I swore I'd never come back to this environment. And here I was back, and I was back with a vengeance. I brought back a good one. This wasn't no petty case. This was a banger. I knew I was in trouble. So my mind was thinking about that, thinking about going back to prison, thinking about, you know, just a life sentence, thinking about, I wish I could just bypass all this and be back up in Pelican Bay house in my cell right now with the TV and just get it over with. That's how I felt. Thinking about Vicky, you know, what's happening with her. Are they going to cut her loose? Did they, you know, the banana in the tailpipe? And, you know, let me say this too. This is in response to one of the viewers. And like I told you guys, I read all the comments. I read all the comments. Even though I might not answer all of them, I read them. And there was a comment that said to the effect of, there was something to the effect of, Boxer, I noticed that, you know, when it comes to women, that, you know, you were appeasing. He used words like appeasing, you know, that I dumped my career basically, you know, over a female, and, you know, that I got weak when it comes to women, and that he wondered if I was obsessive and possessive because of how, I guess that's the profile that you know, he formulated, thinking about me, how I am with women based on what I've talked about. Like I said, I answered him in the comments, and I basically told him, look, bro, you know, I encourage everybody to drop their opinions, because everybody's entitled to that. And I encourage you. I even encourage constructive criticism. But this comment right here doesn't make sense. You know, I talk about one female. I talk about, you know, the compassion and care that I had for my wife because she was dying. That's all I've talked about. And like I told this guy, I think what it is that you don't understand it, because this is the same mindset that a lot of homeboys, they have. Not because that's just the type of individual that they are, but it's because this has been ingrained in them. We're not supposed to show emotion. We're not supposed to show that we're vulnerable. Why? Because people look at it as it's a weakness. It's a weakness. Because I cared about, her being sick, because I cared about her having lupus, because I put her, ahead of everything else. And that was my priority as far as what I was thinking about. Now I'm weak. And I'm just some cat that's obsessive and possessive. Nah, that ain't me, man. That's not me. I've been in some relationships. I've been in a few relationships, and I've never been the type of dude that was possessive or jealous or, would smother somebody, wouldn't let my girl go out, or, nah, baby, you ain't wearing that. That's too revealing. That's not me, man. That's just so not me. Unless you've had a wife that has had that type of illness and you understand how delicate it is, how fragile it is, there's no way that you could possibly know. So I'm not mad at you. I just think that you've developed that same kind of mindset that, you look at it as me showing that kind of compassion and care about my wife, my dying wife, is a weakness. What should I have done? Should I have kept it gangster? Should I have remained numb to what she was going through? Would that have made me more down? Would that have made me more honorable? Would that have made me have more integrity? Man, I don't think so. I don't think so. She was my wife. There's a lot going on. I basically upended our entire lives. What I did, the choices I made affected her. I felt bad about it. I affected her, and her life was about to change too. And it did. All I wanted to do is just make sure that it didn't get worse. I didn't want her to die because of the stress, because it was a stressful situation. Any female would stress out, if her husband got put in this situation. So that's what it is, man. So hopefully you that asked that question, you understand. That's what it is. It's that mentality that, that gangster mentality, that we're not supposed to show emotion, or we're not supposed to show any kind of compassion for our wives or any kind of vulnerability. We're just supposed to be hard gangsters, and that's it. Anyways, so these are the things that I'm thinking about. And, there's nothing that I can do to help her. I know she's got a lot on her plate. If they let her go, she's going to have to go back to the house. She's obviously going to go to a house that the doors kicked in, or they put like they did on Impala when I had that shootout. They basically nailed a big piece of plywood to the front door. So she might not even be able to get in. I'm thinking, like, she don't know anybody over there besides Roger and John and a couple of other individuals that she's met through me. She had no friends over there. I think she had a female friend that used to live in Hayward, but she didn't know nobody in that area. So there's nobody that's going to be able to help her get in, break a window, or however, to get into the house to get some things that she needed. So anyways, eventually at some point, I get my fingerprints taken. I get my picture taken. Again, I got these cops standing around me, and it started to annoy me. Again, I can't emphasize it enough. I just felt like, they were standing over me like they had conquered me, like this was our big catch right here. We caught him. He's busted. We're processing him. This is our trophy. We're going to throw him in an ob cell. So I'm going through the motions, getting processed, something that I've been through 1,000 times. I could do it blindfolded, standing on my head. And so after they process me, at some point, they end up putting me inside of a holding tank by myself, one of the big holding tanks. There's a couple phones in there. So, the whole purpose was to let me make some phone calls. So they put me in there. And so at one point, I get on the phone, and the first call that I make, I call home. I call the home phone, Beecher Court. I don't get no answer. It just rings and rings and rings. I don't try to call her cell phone. I might have even tried just to be sure. I might have dialed the number, but I knew that it wasn't going to do no good because they took all our cell phones. But I might have tried it anyway. I don't get no answer. So the second person I called was Pony. I wanted to see, if he was still out there, what was going on. I needed to get some messages to him. I knew that they had raided a couple houses that were associated with them because you guys remember when I was in Campbell, his girl, her brother came in there and they actually put him in the tank with me. So we had a chance to chop it up. But he told me that Pony had got away. So, I try to call him. Obviously, he don't answer. Oh, boy, it's probably, he had his phone off, which was understandable. That was probably the only one time I didn't get mad at him, fine him, or reprimand him for not answering his phone. So the third person I called my mom and my stepfather. And it was an emotional call. My mom was broken up. At first I called, and soon as I call, they can hear, the recording comes on. You got a phone call from an inmate at the Santa Clara County. So I can already hear my mom. What? Oh no, she's already starting to trip out. So by the time the recording is done, she pops on. She's already in tears. What happened? Tell me it's not true. Please, she's like, what happened? And she's crying, and I'm like, Mom, it's all bad. You know what I mean? It's all bad. They caught me slipping. I got raided this morning. They found a bunch of things at my house. And she's like, no. She's like, she's tripping out. And I'm like, look, I'm not saying nothing that is gonna hurt me because I already buried myself. I took responsibility for everything that was at the house because Vicky was there, obviously. And she's just listening. And my stepfather's in the back. I can hear him tripping out. And he's like, let me talk to him, because she's just crying. And I'm like, Pops, man, man, maybe you can explain it to her. Like, it's all bad. They caught me slipping. I'm a third striker. They found a bunch of stuff there. They caught me dirty, man. And it's all bad. I had to take it on the chin for Vicky. So I copped to everything that they found at the house. And, now it's just going through the motions, man, seeing how this all plays out. I probably have court this Monday morning. I'm still in processing right now. I'm still in the front. And he's like, man, he's shook up about it too. He knows he's been to the system. He's been to prison. I think he went up twice back in the days, and he's done time. So he knew the whole get down. So anyways, I talked to them like 3 or 4, I call them like 3 or 4 times. And, I was like, man, it's kind of messed up, man, because you guys were literally like 3 days from coming out and visiting, and I had a nice little chunk of change for you, man. I had that Cadillac, and they're probably going to take the Cadillac. The money that they found, there's no doubt in my mind that that's gone. Oh, the other charge that they ended up charging me with too. So I got charged with participating in the criminal street gang, conspiracy, possession of meth for sale, possession of heroin for sale, possession of weed for sale, and I also got hit with possession of $25,000 that was derived, or possession of money over $25,000 that was derived from criminal activity, drugs. So, I tell them, the money's gone. They ended up charging me with, I told them that charge right there, which basically means they're going to take that money and keep it for the county. That's going to buy them some new cop cars or some new radios or whatever, however they're going to spend it. That just went right into their little bank. So anyways, I tell them what I can on the phone. And even though both of my parents had been through the system, and, so I can't downplay it with neither one of them really, because they've both been through the system. but I still tried to make it seem like it was a little bit okay, because I knew that they were going to talk to Vicky eventually. I knew my mom at least was, and she's just you know, she don't really hold nothing back. She's very open-minded, openly opinionated, and all that good stuff. So I just told him, look, it's, you know, that nobody got killed. There's no violence involved as of right now. All it is dope and gang charges. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens, you know, in court. It's all going to play out in court. I'm going to be here. No telling how long I'm going to be here, but I'm going to be here for the long haul. I know it. You know, it's going to drag on for a while. Again, I didn't have no idea, no inclination whatsoever that I was going to be in that county jail for anywhere close to 10 years. I was thinking I might be there maybe a year, maybe 2 years. And for me, that was the long haul. But a century, or not a century, a decade, I didn't think I was going to be there that long. It's a lot of SOS, boy. Anyways, so, you know, after I talked to them 3-4 times. By then it's starting to get late. It's dark out. I don't know what time it was. You know, in jail, you start losing concept of time unless there's a clock somewhere. But, you know, at one point, I kept on trying to dial home, kept on hitting the home phone, and I wasn't getting nothing. And then finally, Vicky answered the phone. She answers the phone, and I'm like, they let you go? What happened? And she's like, yeah, they let me go. And, you know, again, it was an emotional call. She was like, man, I can't believe this shit, Boxer. She's like, you know, she's like, they fucking destroyed this house. This house is destroyed. She's like, they tore it up. They tore the walls out. They tore shit up. She's like, I don't even know where anything's at. You know, she's like, what am I gonna do? I'm like, babe, look, just take whatever you need. Take whatever you need. Get a hold of your mom, your mom's boyfriend, your sister. Tell them to come pick you up. You need somebody to come out here and pick you up. You know, you shouldn't even drive like that. We had, so at the house when they raided, I had my truck, I had a Chevy, I had 2 Hondas and a Cadillac. They initially tried to take all the cars. They ended up taking the Cadillac because the Cadillac was paid off, and, you know, I had the title for it. The 2 Hondas, I was still making payments on them. So the bank still owned the 2 Hondas, so they couldn't take them. Same thing with the truck. So, you know, I told her to call somebody, to have somebody come down and pick her up, that I didn't think it'd be a good idea just because of the way, you know, the state of mind she was in, to drive all the way up to Ukiah from San Jose. But she was like, you know what, I can do it. She was like, I'm just going to pack the trunk and take whatever I can, and I'm going to head out there. I want to say one of the neighbors was cool enough, or it might even have been Roger's wife. They were cool enough to take the dog, the puppy that we had, the little Pomeranian, like Gizmo's twin. And, you know, at least they didn't lock the dog up, put the dog in the pound too. He didn't go to jail, but, you know, she was able to get him and take him back up to Ukiah with her. So anyway, you know, the thing that stood out to me the most, though, is that this cop kept his word. And I couldn't believe it. Honestly, I'll be straight up with you guys. I didn't think that he would honor his word. You know, cops have always been the enemies, and they're not trusted. That's the way that we grow up. That's the mentality that we have. They are the opposition. So I didn't have no reason to put any faith in him when he said he cut her loose. I thought that they elicited a statement from me. I took it on the chin, and the joke's on you. That they were going to still charge her anyway, come with some drag about, you know, hey, we tried, but the district attorney didn't want to go for it. So, hey, you know, that's the way it is, man. But they cut her loose. They didn't charge her, you know, and for the most part, she said that with the exception of the things that they said about me, they were cool. You know, they sat her down and they gave her that speech again, kind of along the same lines as what the female officer told her when we were getting raided. You know, this dude's a bad dude. Why are you with him? You know, he's been a bad dude for years, and you know his history is nothing but he's got nothing but bad news. He's never done nothing but, you know, be involved in gang activity. He's responsible for hurting people, whether it was him doing it himself or, you know, being that he's a leader, having other people do his dirty work. I mean, they shit all over me. Like, you know, he's a piece of shit. He's never gonna get out of prison. You know, I'm putting it mildly, but they dumped on me and they tried to, you know, really get it in her mind that I was just a bad dude to get away from me, that she was in all this mess right now because of me, which is true. But the other stuff, the personal stuff, you know, I felt like they didn't need to say all that. It wasn't their place to say it, but it is what it is. And the bottom line is they let her go, and that's all I was worried about. So, you know, we talk. I have an opportunity to talk to her 2 or 3 times before they ended up coming to the tank and telling me, you know, it's time to go. So I tell her, babe, go up there, you know, go be with your family. Don't worry about me. I'm gonna be okay. You know, I'm a soldier. I've been through this before. I guess I wouldn't be okay, you know. But all this stuff is gonna happen later. I'm fine right now. You know, I tell her, you know, I've been through this. Obviously, this is the type of lifestyle that I've lived. So don't worry about me. I'll keep you updated. I'll keep you posted on everything that happens. I'll probably hit court Monday. Just go up there and don't worry about coming to see me right now. Just take care of yourself. Take care of yourself. You know, there's nothing I can do to help you right now. I just want to make sure that you take care of yourself. So she swore up and down she would, that, you know, she's like, you better come home. And I'm like, I'll be home. You know, this is just, I'm going to have to go through all the motions. It's just a dope case. That's all it is. But again, I knew that it was more than that, and I knew I wasn't coming back. I just didn't want to tell her for obvious reasons. So from that point, you know, they take me over to classification. They have an area that is like, they got all their classification staff that sits right by this little podium. And then right behind that is where they dress you out. So, you know, I strip out, go through all that, do all that good stuff, jump around on one leg and all that. And then they dress me out, double red. So from that point, they escort me. Now, the officers had left. The officers from DOJ had left at some point. I don't know where they went, but they left. I was on the phone for a while. I stayed in processing for a good minute. I want to say at least 3 hours. These fools stuck around the whole time somewhere. They went somewhere, but when it came time for them to move me, they came and escorted me with jail staff to the classification area. There was like 6 cats that were walking with me to the classification area and then to dress me out. They all stood right there while, you know, they didn't even give your boy the privacy of, you know, when I was getting stripped out, they all came in there and was just all glaring. It was probably like, you know what I mean? So anyways, once they dressed me out, you know, I get chained back up again, and I don't know where I'm going. I've never been to this jail. I don't know where I'm going. But they take me, we get on the elevator, and we go up like 2 flights, and we come out, and we're on a deck where I see there's a bunch of tanks, and I see a bunch of guys in orange, and there's a medical tank right there. And they walk me behind the little podium, and there's an observation cell. They walk me right into it. Boom. I walk in, They shut the door. There's just a bed, a sink, a little table. That's all. That op cell was kind of cool though, because right there in the window, all the window had newspaper over it. It was all taped up. But in the corner right there, there's a TV on the other side of the glass. And they actually let you have the remote control in that cell to change the TV. And the speaker is up on the roof, on the ceiling. So when you're watching TV, you can see it, hear it. It's actually a cool spot, one of the best, but like they say, a Bonnaroo. For those of you that are from the 70s and 80s and that know what Bonnaroo means, the good stuff. So it was a Bonnaroo cell as far as the observation cell. Most of the other observation cells, the TV was outside the cell up on the wall. So they had to lean down and watch it through their tray slot. And it was just like half the time you couldn't even hear it or watch it. You get tired of standing on your door. You wouldn't just be like, man, F that TV. So anyways, I get in the observation cell and they uncuff me. And from that point on, I get in there. I'm starting to feel the symptoms of withdrawal. They're starting to kick in now. So you guys got to understand, obviously that morning I didn't get up and do nothing. I didn't get myself well or to make myself normal. So this was 6 o'clock in the morning. Right now we're talking about it's around 9 o'clock at night. I'm past 12 hours, so I'm in full withdrawal mode. I'm feeling it. But even though, I'm feeling it, I feel like shit, I still go into straight OCD mode. I start scrubbing the cell the best I can. I didn't probably do it as thorough as I usually do with a toothbrush and, hitting every corner and every crevice in that cell, but I washed it down. I washed whoever was in that cell before me, I washed them completely up out of there. Scrubbed the bed down, scrubbed the walls down, sink, toilet, floor, all that good stuff. And then I laid out on the bed and I knew I was in for a good ride from that point on. I wasn't going to have an appetite. I was going to be sick, and I wasn't going to be wanting to be bothered, but I knew I was going to have court in a couple days. It was all bad. Everything's playing out in my mind, everything that happened. I'm sitting there going over the day's events, trying to identify anything, trying to think, where did I go wrong? Who did I talk to? What happened? Who could it have been? I knew somebody had told on me, but I didn't know who. They had told me that, Livingston had at least told me that somebody had told them about what I was doing out there in San Jose. Somebody had told them that I was running a regiment and that I was selling, a lot of meth out there, more than pounds. That's who they were going after. The SCC, SCT, they go after guys that are selling more than pound increments. That's basically what they're doing. They want to go after guys that are selling weight or, highly violent gang members. That's what that agency, that's what they do. So, I'm laying there trying to think, man. A lot of go pops into my mind. Everything that had happened, he had a motive, a reason to get me out the way. Oh, that's the other thing. So when I call Vicky, this is another part of it. So when I call her, she tells me, she's like, when I first get to the house, the phone's blowing up. It's blowing up. It's ringing. It's ringing. It's ringing. So she answers the phone and it's Latigo. And he's like, hey, what happened? What's going on? How he found out, I don't know. But Vicky, she flashed on him. She's like, what do you mean? She was like, you know what's going on. You and all the other homeboys know what's going on. I don't know. She was upset. But she was like, he's in jail. He's in jail, Largo. He's in jail. We got raided. They tore the house up. So he's not here. And, he's like, all right, man, keep me posted. If there's anything you need, all that good stuff, get at me. So, I think about that. Why did he call? Who told him? But then again, he knows Roger. So maybe he tried to touch base with Roger's wife. She told him, I don't know. but I'm suspicious. I'm thinking about everybody and everything that happened that day, everything that happened within that week. What did I miss? All the times that Vicky told me, you know, she seen this, she seen that. I'm thinking, you big dummy. You big dummy. She seen all these things and you ignored it. You ignored every last thing she told you. Why? I thought I was on top of my game. You know, I thought that I was doing everything right, that I was seeing everything out there, but obviously I wasn't. When we're out there, we're ripping and running, we're doing shit. You know, a lot of the times, yeah, you know, our awareness, it does peak because of where we've been, because we've been through, you know, prison, and we're different kind of individuals. You know, we see things that a lot of other people don't. We're sharper. The shoe has done that to me. But I think I seen a lot of those things, but ignored them on purpose because I didn't want to see them. But, you know, I'm thinking about that. I'm thinking about just, you know, my parents almost came up that week, and it was a couple days, within a couple days, and they would have had that car, that money. The other thing that really stood out to me is, and I would find this out later, but I'm spinning ahead just a little bit just to give you guys an understanding of all this. The search warrant was signed on June 4th, 2004. They didn't execute that search warrant until June 11th, 2004. So in other words, they went in front of a magistrate, they went in front of a judge and requested to get this warrant signed based off of whatever was on the face of the affidavit that justified them searching my house. Whatever it was, whatever informant they used, that information, they used that to justify the search. And the judge looked at it and said, you know what? Okay, there's probable cause. There's enough here. Let me sign off on it. So he signs off on it. Now, just thinking from a just common sense perspective, I would think that if a cop got a warrant signed on the 4th and he had a week to play with, I would want to make sure that when I do kick that door in, there's contraband in that house. There's guns and there's dope. So what better way to make sure that it's there than to send somebody in there to see it? Like I told you guys, Largo was the one that came by that night. Conejo came by, but he had been by on numerous other occasions. That was the first and only time Largo had ever came by. And again, it just, I can't get off of the fact that he had a motive to get rid of me. I never seen no police report on him. I'm just gonna tell you guys this now, just so you guys can just digest this for a little bit. So it's interesting, you know, I've heard guys were just talking about redacting and all that paperwork, right? So later on, at some point, as these investigations would start to snowball and they turned into bigger investigations and more people got involved and other people got arrested and they got caught with kites, and it just kept on just getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. At one point, Largo would end up getting arrested for whatever he was doing out there at that time. I forget what it was, but he ended up getting caught up with somebody else, and so he got raided. His house got hit on a parole search. They did a parole search, and he was somehow tied into my case. They did a parole search on him, and it was like a 30-page police report. Check this out. It was about a 30-page police report. When we get the police report in our discovery, and this is obviously way later, right? Way later. When we get the police report in discovery, out of 30 pages, there's only one page that isn't redacted. And it's not even a full page. It's a half a page. So that whole 29 and a half pages was blackened out. Now, come on, man. Can you guys see why my spidey senses were tingling? I was like, it's gotta be Largo. But I never seen no paperwork on him. Nothing ever came out. Does it mean it's not? No. You know, when later on, and again, I know I'm talking about a lot of stuff that is in the future, and I'll be talking about it later on. I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but you know, I would fight the, you know, the crux of the search warrant. I would try to pick it apart, everything from search and seizure issues to the information that they use on the face of the search warrant to try to fight it and break it down. And you know, the only thing that I was able to find out is that the confidential informant that they used, the CI, was somebody that was credible. It's somebody that had provided information in the past that led to multiple arrests that were all over a pound. In other words, they busted multiple people in the past from this confidential informant, and each one of these dealers was dealing weight more than a pound when they got arrested. And there was always dope in the house when this guy said there was. So that's all I knew. So, and that was what was contained in the search warrant. Now, but when I think about it, is that logical? I don't know. This is somebody that's working as a CI for a while. This is somebody that's doing it as like a full-time job or a full-time gig. This isn't somebody that just got busted once and spilled their guts and that was it. This is somebody that's been doing it, somebody that's getting cashed out. So I don't know. You know, I don't know. For the next 10 years, I would speculate, try to figure it out, and I would get nowhere. But we'll revisit this later on in the case because you guys are going to hear about all of it. I'm going to walk you guys through everything that happened, every detail. I want you guys to know everything that happened because there's a lot of stuff that you guys don't know. Anyways, I think this is a good spot right here to stop. While I'm in the jail, I just walked into the observation cell. I'm in there. I'm trying to digest everything that's going on and, you know, the gravity of the situation. So this is probably a good spot to stop. Anyways, let me leave you guys with the closing thought. So in the next, I want to say either the next week, maybe 2 weeks, 3 at the very most, I'm going to be making a major announcement. And, you know, something that I want to tell you guys about now, but I can't. I want to go through all the motions, get it done. And then when it's time, you know, to roll it out, then, you know, I want to tell you guys about it. A lot of you have been asking this question. You know, you guys have been asking me about things like this, and it's finally happening. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but it's something kind of huge. And it's not if it's going to happen, it's already happening. It will happen. It'll go down Monday. You know what I mean? It'll go down Monday. I will be on an airplane going to take care of my business on Monday, and I'm going to get it taken care of. Then once it all comes to fruition and it's all said and done, then I'm going to make an announcement. I'll probably have an intro video, a special thumbnail for that situation I'm talking about. So it's something pretty big, man. It's something pretty substantial, and you guys will see. Now, this is not, I'm not going to tell you guys there's something big coming down and then it doesn't happen. It's already happening, but so just keep that in mind. Just pay close attention. It might get announced sooner, depends on when all this is put together and when it happens. So anyways, I'll leave you guys with that little cliffhanger right there. I might end up dropping another Inner Demons tomorrow, but I think I'm going to hit you guys with a couple war stories so you guys can ponder on this one for a little bit. Other than that, you know, I got some other things that I'm working on. I'm going to try to get them out this week to you guys, but I will be busy Monday, like I said. So I'm going to try to get out as much content as I can. The questions, you guys got questions, put them in the community section so that I can do another Q&A. I want to keep those Q&As going. Also, we'll be doing another live. Maybe it's possible we could do it tomorrow. I don't know. We'll see. Anyways, I hope you guys are enjoying your Friday night. This video should come out late, so some of you will have it. Wait a minute. This is Saturday. I'm tripping. I'm triz nipping. Anyways, it will come out late tonight. Some of you guys will have it for Sunday morning if you're working. If not, you know, at some point during your Sunday, if you watch Inner Demons, you'll have an episode tomorrow. And again, I'll get on the war stories. And for those of you that have been asking about the chapters, I will get on Sandman about that as well. We'll get the chapters going with some consistency again. I feel your guys' pain. Trust me. I've been trying to get these chapters out to you guys consistently, but it is what it is. Hopefully, you know, we can work it out. But anyways, this is episode 61. This is your boy B. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Ponder on this, man. Maybe you guys can figure it out once you get all the details. Anyways, this is your boy B, and I'm out.